From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
The search is on for this dangerous driver.
To see it right there in our town, it's disturbing.
Plus, this city slicking moose is still on the loose.
That's why I love Montana. I mean, this is the biggest city we got, and right in the middle of it, we still got wildlife.
And an app all about the animals gaining traction in Billings. And good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Wednesday, October 12th. Well, this morning, a woman remains in the hospital after a crash on the train tracks in the middle of Billings. Police say the woman was walking across the tracks overnight at the North Broadway crossing near 27th Street when she was struck. The 55-year-old sustained serious injuries, and now police are still investigating what exactly took place. Okay, another big story of the morning is that weather.
Yep.
It's breezy, it's cooler,
yeah.
A lot of things.
Yeah, it's a lot of things going on today. You said it. Yeah, those winds going to help keep those temperatures down to around seasonal. Some of us may not get out of the 50s today. We've seen some windy conditions this morning in Billings. That will kind of taper off as we go along for us. So it's still remaining breezy today, like Andrea said. But if you're on the eastern side, Miles City, Baker, Ekalaka, Webo, Sidney, Glendive, you still have a chance to see gusts up to 50 miles an hour this afternoon. And we'll take a look at those winds coming up here in just a bit. Take a step back in time. Yesterday, our high of 64, just a little bit above average. Our overnight low got down to about 46, above average there as well. Top gust yesterday at 47. Of course, no rain, so we're stuck at just under 0.4 inches. We're over 13.5 inches for the year. So we started off the month on a soggy note with rain, but now we're starting to slide back. We're in the deficit column, still on the plus side for the year, but still dry in terms of the drought here in portions of Yellowstone County. Unfortunately, not a lot of rainfall over the next 7 days anticipated. 45 right now at the airport. The winds right now are calm. We did see some gust earlier this morning. Do have a slug of moisture off to our northeast. That will dissipate as the day goes on. The skies will clear. Temperatures waking up this morning mainly in the 40s, 50s and 60s for highs today. We will be getting warmer. Friday's going to be our warmest day, trying to get back to the 70s, but we'll cool down as we head into the weekend. And we'll take a look at that slight chance of rain and maybe some snow in the mountains coming up here in just a bit.
Yeah, some snow already in the mountains.
And up in Red Lodge, how about that?
Yeah.
Oh, can you feel it? Oh, the excitement.
Now,
ski season.
You're not a skier though, are you?
I've done it in the past. I haven't done it since I've been up here, but this is the year.
Maybe.
We are going this year.
Yay!
It's going to happen. Yeah.
We'll have more on Red Lodge's snow in just a little bit, but first we'll get to some other news. Thanks, Miller. We'll see you soon. All right, law enforcement is asking everyone to pay attention to this next video this morning. They need help tracking down a dangerous driver speeding and drifting around Roundup as if it were an action movie set. Q2's Charlie Kleps brings us the must-see dash cam video.
This intersection in Roundup doesn't usually see a ton of traffic or aggressive drivers, but Monday night was the exception. And in order to get a real sense for what happened, you've got to see the video. This was the scene Monday night at about 9:30 in Roundup. Quiet Main Street, looking more like a scene out of the Fast and Furious.
The gentleman in the car, whoever was in the car, had no regard for public safety at all.
Shane Kaling owns a trucking company and has lived in Roundup since 2009. He says part of the reason he moved here was to avoid dangerous situations like this.
If this incident would have took place in the middle of the day, it could have been catastrophic. I wouldn't have thought twice to see this in Atlanta or Philadelphia, but to see it right there in our town, it's disturbing.
Ken Minnie is the owner of Big M Realty, which is located just across the street from where the reckless driving took place.
Oh, wow. Yeah. They come around that corner, they were in a hurry.
He was shocked when we showed him the video.
Yeah, I just saw the video. I hadn't heard anything about it before. Yeah, it's kind of amazing. We just don't have that kind of stuff here.
The Muscle County Sheriff's Office posted the video on social media, hoping to track down the driver since the car was also reported in Billings 30 minutes later. The Billings Police Department tells MTN that officers tracked the car's movement but never engaged.
I think everybody grew up in my time. They had their fun too. And we all do our crazy things as growing up as a kid. But it's this thing that happened in front here was something different.
A scary scene that could have easily ended up with someone hurt.
It's just one of those things that you never know if you're going to get that phone call because someone else was careless.
In Roundup, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
All right, an update for you this morning as that Magic City moose remains on the loose. Local wildlife officials and police are tracking the animal, even climbing onto a local homeowner's roof to look for it near 17th Street. But for now, the plan is to let the moose just leave town on its own. That's because officials say relocating a 1,000-pound animal isn't easy and it can be dangerous.
There have been some instances both in Billings and other places around the state where we have had to relocate the moose. That's logistically challenging for FWP staff, for any law enforcement that have to be involved with the local police department, and can also create some safety risks for the human.
So FWP and police will continue to follow the moose, and they'll come up with a plan, of course, if it does become a problem that needs to be relocated. We are hearing from small business owners this morning telling us inflation is preventing them from being profitable. Reporter Thomas Hoppe tells us what they can do to stay afloat and how we can help.
We're not keeping up with inflation, which means effectively we're all getting somewhat poorer every month that we get a paycheck. Problem is that small businesses depend on their suppliers, and their suppliers are increasing their prices along with inflation.
Small businesses run by your neighbors are what help your community thrive. According to the Small Business Administration, the 32.5 million small businesses in the U.S. account for 44% of the country's economic activity.
Bigger businesses are back afloat, but the smaller businesses are the ones that are still struggling.
And small businesses had to weather a lot recently. With the pandemic shutting down more than 70% of them, supply chain issues, now the high inflation rate above 8% is taking its toll.
American small business is really resilient. It's remarkable that as many of them survived as they did through the pandemic.
A new study shows that 4 out of 5 businesses say they can weather a recession. However, they will not be able to turn a profit, with 56% expecting that to continue through most of 2023. Business experts say the name of the game is just trying to stay open for business.
That's why the Fed is so intent on making sure that inflation does get crushed. People that get hurt the worst are the small guy. And so, because of that, the small guy's got to get together and act like one bigger guy.
The study also suggests that business owners' best remedy is to raise prices, with 37% saying that was their plan. Another 22% said they plan to negotiate better deals with suppliers in order to lower costs.
If you want your local businesses to survive, it's worth actually spending that extra dollar to start concentrating a little more on the small business and the business that's in your area.
As of right now, experts are urging consumers to consider small business owners and their spending in order to help keep their community thriving, which is something business owners could switch their marketing to.
Those kind of tactics where you're marketing a brand, but not just a brand, but you're marketing yourself and your community at the same time. And so the small businesses, can say that we are local, we hire local labor. This makes up part of the community that you're in, and that's important.
In Denver, I'm Thomas Hoppe reporting.
Happening today, a Florida jury will begin deliberations to decide if the Parkland school shooter should be sentenced to death. During closing arguments, prosecutors described the horrors of Nicholas Cruz's massacre of 17 people and Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High. But the defense was saying that he was poisoned in the womb and doomed from the start. Jurors will be sequestered if they don't reach a decision by today. The Supreme Court is choosing not to hear a case to decide if fetuses are entitled to constitutional rights. Reporter Kellen Howell brings us the details.
The Supreme Court on Tuesday decided not to take up a case on the so-called fetal personhood debate. In 2019, a Catholic group and 2 pregnant women sued the state of Rhode Island, arguing that a state law codifying abortion rights stripped their unborn fetuses of their constitutional rights. In May, the lower court ruled that the fetuses did not have proper legal standing. But after the Supreme Court's June decision in Dobbs v. Jackson overturned abortion protections, the plaintiffs urged the nation's highest court to weigh in on the question of whether or not an unborn child has any rights under the Constitution. It may seem like a setback for anti-abortion groups, but advocates say they're not surprised.
We haven't even had a full legislative session in the states since we got that Dobbs decision in June. So it's not surprising that they haven't taken a case, that they didn't take this case. We're going to see what happens in the states, and potentially other cases could end up back at the Supreme Court.
The justices did not give a reason for declining to take the case. Justice Samuel Alito wrote in the Dobbs decision in June that the court's opinion was, quote, not based on any view about if and when prenatal life is entitled to any of the rights enjoyed after birth. The debate over fetal personhood raises questions around many issues, from in vitro fertilization to contraception and child support.
The idea of federal personhood would create a level of consistency across our country, whereas right now we've got some states under criminal law. If a pregnant woman is attacked, there are 2 victims. In some states, there's 1 victim.
Some states are already pursuing personhood laws, like Georgia's new law that allows women to claim unborn fetuses as dependents on their tax returns. Meanwhile, in Ohio, state lawmakers are considering establishing fetal personhood at conception, effectively banning all abortions at any stage of pregnancy. Kellen Howell, Newsy, Washington.
Well, this morning, there's a new business venture to tell you about. The only thing that you need is a really great backyard. MTN's Alina Howder tells us about a new app that's giving apartment living dogs a chance to play in that dream yard.
It's a fairly new concept in Montana, but there's now an app that lets you book playtime for your pup in, get this, a complete stranger's yard.
We all want the best for our pups, whether it's taking them to the dog park or out for a stroll. But what if your dog doesn't do well with other animals?
You've never seen something like that, huh? I'd have to take him to baseball fields or way out in the country to get him out off lead where he could just roam and not find anyone else.
Ariel DeHart's dog Nook Nook is deaf, making it hard for him to socialize with other pups.
I kind of want to sniff, I kind of want to show off.
This inspired Ariel to sign up as a host for the app Sniff Spot, an app that lets people turn their yards into private dog parks.
We set it up to be a lot like Airbnb, where if you have a dog and you want a safe space for them, you can download our app.
Dave Adams first started Sniff Spot back in 2018. It now has over 10,000 hosts all over the country, but is just starting to gain traction here in Montana. Ariel DeHart is one of only 2 Sniff Spot hosts in the Billings area. Anna Tetchner is the other.
It's been really easy. I just set out, some dog toys, and we're working on some agility spots for the dogs to be able to, get out their zoomies that they have, if you don't have a big enough yard.
Here's how it works. You go to the app, search for sniff spots near you, book a time, and voila! The yard is all yours for you and your dog, in this case for anywhere from $7 to $10 an hour. Tetchner has only had 3 customers in the month she's been doing it, but she's hopeful the idea will catch on, giving pet owners without a yard a place to play with their pets. In her case, 2 acres to play and roam.
I just want to have a safe place for animals, to be able to go and get out their energy and be able to be safe.
It's more of just awareness that we're kind of available resource for people.
In Billings, Alina Howder, MTN News.